Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Starting Small. Today, I'm joined by Ron Rudzin of Saatva. Ron, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Cameron. I appreciate it.
Of course. So I'd like to start out with your upbringing. Where did you grow up, and what would you say your childhood was like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Queens, New York. Honestly, I know there are kids who grew up with a lot more probably,
Mm.
but I wouldn't trade my childhood for anything. It was the perfect childhood. I loved growing up in the parks, playing sports. I had great parents. I'm really fortunate to have great parents.
Mm.
So I tell everyone I didn't come from lots of money. I came from lots of integrity.
Yeah, I love that. Just out of curiosity, what were some of your aspirations growing up, and did your parents have an influence on some of that as a child?
Yeah, well, my mother, worked for the American Jewish Committee. She was always in work an hour early, so she was a great, role model for that. My father was in the home furnishings business and had a furniture store or two at a time, so always worked for himself. So I had a little bit of the entrepreneur
Yeah,
at a small level from that, and then the good work ethic between the two of them, obviously having your own business, and then my mother also really being just a great dedicated worker, always early,
mm,
always focused on her work, never
yeah,
missed a day kind of lady. So I
incredible
got a little bit of both of that in me, which is great.
for sure. So with your father with that furnishing background, did you help out at all growing up? And I'm sure that has some correlation to what you're doing today as
Oh
well.
yeah. First, again, growing up in Queens, being in the boroughs of New York, between Queens, the Bronx,
Mhm.
Manhattan, my early years, my teen years, we're so beautifully diverse here. So I get along great with everyone, always did. Started working at my father's furniture stores. On the weekends I'd go with him and clean tables, kind of like talk to customers a little bit also, but I would go in and work and see what it was like to earn your own keep. You
Mm,
know, we we had to sell to make money.
exactly. So going into school, did you end up going to college? And if so, what did you study and where did you grow?
Yeah, well, when I left high school, I had a pretty interesting career path. I always tell everyone my career is kind of boring because I only did two things really in my life. But I was really fortunate. I was playing a lot of baseball when I was 15, 16 years old, and at 16, I try to take it a little more seriously, and I didn't really have a lot of time, but I needed a job. So I asked my father, does he know anyone? And he said, yeah, why don't you go see a friend of mine who just opened up a furniture store in Manhattan.
Mm,
I was 16 years old. And that was, at the time it was called Jennifer House. It ultimately became Jennifer Convertibles, but it was the first one. And Jennifer Convertibles
wow.
wound up being a 219 store chain, which I became partners in by the time I was 20 years old.
Wow.
So I started working there when I was 16. I was in high school. By the time I graduated high school, I was basically doing both, working and going to school.
Wow.
Uh, and then I attempted to go to NYU for a couple of months, and that's about all that lasted because we were on our fourth Jennifer store already by
Mm,
the time I was, that age. And by the time I was 20 years old, I wound up, my mother being so, you know, um, strict with work and making sure money was always covered. She
yeah.
told me, make sure you save money, put some money in your pocket every week, but put the bulk of it in the bank. And from age 16 to age 20, I saved $25,000, and I was able to make my first investment. And I actually became partners in a Jennifer convertible store in Greenwich Village when I was 20 years old.
That's
So by the
incredible.
time I was 21, I was already reading P&L statements, and I really understood inventory. And I also make sure that I learned everything. I learned how to sell. I learned how to do the warehousing. I understood the delivery side of the business,
Wow.
understood the product side of the business, and then leadership and management. Because I was basically managing people at a fairly young age.
Wow.
So I had the entrepreneurial bug early.
That's an incredible experience and a very abnormal at that age for sure. Um, but getting into that as well, continuing on that, how did you gain the trust to really develop that leadership side at that chain? And as the company continued to expand at that, how were people respecting you at that age? And what did that look like?
Yeah, for me, I was always I always wanted to make, a lot of money. So one, I knew, look, I knew I had to work really hard to get the things I wanted. And I did. And when you work that hard and you put that much into something, the people around you respect you regardless of your age.
For sure.
So I did that. I mean, I just put so much more time in than most people. So I got that respect. Then, again, I have really good parents. My father always instilled confidence in me. I have a daughter. And when, from the time she was young, that was always the main thing for me. Build confidence in your kid. Let them have, I think having confidence is probably the greatest attribute you can have, going into the world. So I had that early. I wasn't cocky. We're kind people, so I was never cocky. It was just I was confident, and I was willing to put the work in to back that up. So that was, a really big part of, the success that I had early.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd
Yeah.
leave it at that. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So at age 20, what does this journey look like once you invested in yourself then? What does the growth of the company look like? What does your day-to-day duties look like? If you can
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah, sure. I was running the store, but I was also, training all people that, because I was in partnership with as one of the owners of this. I think at the time it was 7 or 8 stores. So I was part of the management and the leadership of that. And my store that I opened up, when I was 20, which is 40 years ago, did $1 million its first year in business. I was able to pay back. I saved my own 25,000, put it in. I had to borrow 25,000. I paid that 25,000 back. And by the time I was 21, I was making some good money, and I still stuck to what my mother had always told me: save as much money as you can. So by the time I was 23, I was able to buy another store.
Wow.
And another store. So I was just always very conservative with the money I was earning. It was our brand. I fell in love with the brand, Jennifer, and we were at that point. By the time I was in my late 20s, we got it up to 37 stores, and we were able to take it public in a 219 store chain. It became, and that lasted 30 years.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm curious then, how does the tie from going into mattresses, how does that branch off from Jennifer then, taking that experience that you developed before, if you can kind of explain that transition?
Sure. November of 2008, really took a hit on the furniture business.
Yeah.
We were getting out of Jennifer at that time, and we sold to a Chinese company, and I got about 80% of what I would have liked out of that deal. So I walked out fairly happy.
Yeah.
My business partner and I were having dinner, and we were deciding what we wanted to hit next. And we knew that the highest margin item in the home furnishings industry was the luxury mattress. And I was at that time, this is late 2007, mid 2007. I was fascinated with the internet. I always had to deal with having a lot of stores. I was running basically the 219 stores. I opened them all up. I had a great management team. We had about 800 people. Just an incredible experience building them in my 20s and my 30s, my early 40s. And then, when I started to think about it, I was like, wow, not having all those stores, you could sell something on the internet.
Yeah.
And I always had to go around to all the stores and teach people, exactly what to say and say it this way. And we had training programs and all that. And now I said, wow, this internet is fascinating. We can, if I go online, I have my own website. It's all my language. Anybody who I'm selling on the phones, they sit right outside my office. So I was fascinated by the internet, and I felt that I was reading a lot about Zappos at the time.
Yeah.
I thought Tony Hsieh was brilliant. Sad to see him not with us.
Yeah.
He's a real visionary, but a real visionary for customer service.
For sure.
And I wanted to take that model, and I just felt like if you give a home trial, the mattress buying experience was so bad at the time. The industry had developed a horrible reputation for itself.
Yeah.
You couldn't comparison shop, phony sales, all this type of stuff. And I said, well, I think if I give a home trial and I tell the story, I went out and I bought the most popular luxury mattresses on the market at the time, which at the time was Simmons Beauty Rest or
Mm.
Stearns and Foster Estate Collection, great beds.
Yeah.
And they cost about $2,500 at retail.
Mhm.
And I went and I tore them apart and I did a raw materials analysis and realized, I said, wow, I can sell this, the same quality
Yeah.
for like $1,000 less. And then on top of that, I wanted to, have something that was more green, something that had more of a green initiative.
Mm.
So I realized I was able to put some antimicrobial organic cotton in our cover, use natural thistle for our flame retardant instead of chemicals or sprays, recycled steel rod for our
Mm.
coils. And I was able to build this product for a lot less and sell it for a lot less. And then I was very fortunate through a friend. I had met a group that did internet marketing and social media.
Yep.
And I did a presentation for them that this is how I wanted it. This is something that I wanted to bring online. And it was about 7 people at that meeting. 2 of them called me up in short, this is a short version of it.
Yeah.
2 of them called me up within 24 hours and they didn't say to me, they want to be involved. They said they have to be involved with me. They said that nobody, this is late 2007, early 2008.
Yep.
Nobody in the mattress industry understands anything about selling things online. It
Yep.
is like they're terrible at, like, nobody knows anything. They said, Ronnie, we will take your product. We will make sure when somebody searches mattress, a luxury mattress, a best mattress, you're going to come right up on top. I really at the time didn't understand what they were talking about. Ours was just a regular brick and mortar retailer.
Yeah.
And so I have 2 young partners that are brilliant. And together with my manufacturing, logistics, customer service, and sales expertise, coupled with their engineering, software,
Yep.
internet marketing, social media understanding, together, we grew this into a business that does well over $400 million today and
Incredible.
highly profitable. And we are now opening up brick and mortar, which is amazing, by the
Awesome.
way. We'll get into that maybe a little later, but yeah. So also part of talking about being an entrepreneur, you have to be so open minded. Like when I met my 2 partners, in a sense, they were like kids to me.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from both of them. So you have to be open-minded. I would never, like today, and with my own money, when I go invest, I always look for young entrepreneurs that I can invest in.
Yep.
But I will never invest in a management that only has young folks, and I'll never invest in a management that only has old folks. I love cross-generational management. I think that is the smartest approach today. You need a little gray hair. And you need some youth in there to have these big visions and to kind of understand the language of today and
For sure.
how to communicate today in the world and market today. But you definitely need some experience to make sure that there are guidelines and guardrails, and it's worked out really well for us.
Incredible. Out of curiosity, you guys were truly a pioneer, especially you mentioned your partners came on. There's no mattress brand coming into e-commerce at the time. How did you approach, so for all these years, people go into brick and mortar, they can feel the bed, understand what it's going to feel like when it enters their home. How did you approach that? I'm sure that question came up on how are you going to convince a consumer?
Sure. Well, my pitch was, you go into a mattress store, it's fluorescent lighting.
Mhm.
You lay on a bed for 5 minutes with someone's hovering over you, trying to sell you something that you're not sure that they have your best interest in mind, because they might get an extra money for selling Simmons beds that week, or Serta beds that week, or Sealy beds that week, depending on extra inventory.
Yep.
So, what are you really getting, and what are you really learning when you lay in a mattress store? To me, I was like, hey, buy it from me. I'm going to give you a home trial for 360. At the time, it wasn't 365. It was actually 90 days at the time.
Okay.
But, now it's 365.
Yep.
But and actually sleep on the bed in your own room with your pajamas on and your room temperature and everything you like, and your sheets.
It's incredible.
And if you don't like it, we'll take it back, because the concept was, I'm building you a bed that basically you'll find in almost every luxury hotel. They're basically made with individually wrapped coils with some sort of pillow top, a Euro pillow top, in a medium comfort level. And that was our first bed, our Saatva Luxury Firm Classic. We now have, a firm version of that, a softer version of that. We now are in latex if you want something more natural. I have ultra premium memory foam. We have customizable air. We do something for larger folks. We do a youth innerspring, for luxury innerspring, first luxury bed for kids.
Mm.
So, but at the time, it was just really that, and that's what we were basically saying. Look, save yourself $1,000, have something that's a little more green, a little more earth friendly,
Yeah.
and if you don't like it, you lose nothing.
Yep. Incredible. Getting into the marketing here. So you guys launched, you launched for that first bed, as you mentioned, you have these partners. What were some of the main forms? I know you guys are heavy into performance marketing. I've heard in the past on that. What would you say you guys really tackled at start that worked best?
We are, first I want to make sure we never get credit for it. I always tell my team
Yeah.
one day somebody will write about us and they'll say that, well, Saatva really was the first one selling mattresses at scale online.
Yeah.
But
You heard
it
it
is.
here, folks.
But your question was, I'm sorry.
What kind of marketing did you find at
Yeah,
launch was working best? Performance? What was that looking like?
sure. We were only, Cameron. This is kind of what made us. We were strict, pure performance marketers. That was
Yeah.
that's what we became. We were the best at it. I think today we're still the best at it. It is, I have an incredible team with 13 years of data.
Mm.
And that was always our thing. In 2019, I said, well, when I started Saatva, basically 0% of people, just a blip, were buying mattresses online. There were a couple of foam companies that would have sold something online, but luxury mattress, no one.
Yeah.
And then now here we get to, let's say 2019, 2020, we got it up to about 19%, 20%. Now it's at about 21, 22% of
Yeah.
people will buy a mattress online. That's great. But then if I then wanted to start doing out of market advertising, right? People
Yeah.
out like brand marketing,
Yep.
it would cost a lot of money, because if I go to, let's say, San Francisco and I want to put up a billboard, or I want to do a television commercial, even if you like me and you come on and you say, oh, I'm gonna Google them, from a search standpoint, I know how to get you to my website, but I can only sell 21% of you. Now
Yeah.
that's a big number when you think about the industry being $20 billion. That means there's $4 billion of business to go after.
Yep.
But the reality is there's still 75, 78, 79% people that won't buy from me no matter what, because they won't buy online.
For
So in
sure.
2019, I opened up my first viewing room on
Mm.
57th Street, 3rd Avenue. It continues to be wildly successful. I believe it's the highest grossing mattress store in the country per square foot.
Wow.
It's 3,300 square feet, and it does $10 million a year in business.
Wow.
In 3,300 square feet. And it's right next to, great stores like Mattress Firm, Casper's around the corner, Tempur-Pedic's across the street, Duxiana's around the corner, Bloomingdale's is across the street, with all other brands like high-end brands like Cluft and Schiffman.
Mm.
So we're like, wow, our concept is amazing. And, they're not normal looking mattress stores. We made them look like extremely luxurious, kind of, when you think about Restoration Hardware, if
Yeah.
they ever came up with a mattress store, it would kind of look like this.
Yeah.
And then it has great technology in it. So there's an iPad next to every product. So you don't
Mm.
need a lot of people working there on the floor. We have a lot of people in the back. Our call center really has become the back of our viewing rooms. So now
Got
we
it.
have 11 of them open. We're opening up another 5 by January.
Wow.
But we're in every major city from Charlotte, Dallas, Chicago, Boston, and we're on the best streets. Newberry Street, we're on Melrose in LA, we're on Post Street in San Francisco, we're on Walnut Street in Philadelphia, 14th Avenue in
Wow.
Washington, D.C. We're opening up in Orlando.
Incredible.
We're doing also, we just took a spot in Flatiron that will be opening up in January.
Okay.
So that'll be our second store in Manhattan.
Incredible. Amazing. So if you can talk us through, like, a consumer walks through one of these stores, what does that look like in comparison to one of the old traditional brick and mortar mattress stores? So it's a lot of digital based, and then they order online through the iPad. What does that look like when you walk in?
Yeah, so this is. I hope you find this interesting, Cameron. You can cut it out if you don't. But if you love business, which I do, I'm addicted to business. I tell
Yeah.
my wife all the time, what a great addiction to have, right?
Yeah.
Business actually makes me happy. It's like a sport to me.
Exactly.
I enjoy it. I play very fair. I love when people do really well in our space and we lift rising tides.
Yep.
It's not a it's not like, hey, I have to kill everyone. It's like, let's all behave well and get people to buy mattresses more often. Let's
Yeah.
talk about sleep, health, and wellness. But what was so interesting with this, when I was opening up the viewing room, I said to the team, I said, by the way, guys, I don't really care if we sell one mattress in here or not. This is a viewing room.
Yeah.
What I care about is the DMA, which is the designated marketing area around the viewing room, the 20-mile, 25-mile radius around the viewing room.
Mm.
We just need people to come here. If they couldn't make the decision for a home trial, they want to just come touch and feel. Maybe I could just have a security guard here
Yeah.
with all the technology, so they can get all the information right next to any product. When people come, I don't care how modern people think the world has gotten. When people go to a full wall operation and they're going to spend $2,500, they want to know about delivery. They want to know exactly what's in it. They want to make sure the order went right, and
Yeah.
that everyone buys on our equipment when they go there. It's amazing. And the DMAs are being lifted. So there are obviously
Mm.
people who go touch or feel good that we have a viewing room for whatever reason that might be. But
Yeah.
the DMAs are the conversion rates are higher in our areas where we have a viewing room, in the
Mhm.
DMAs where we have a viewing room compared to the rest of the country. So we will, we have 18 slated right now.
Yep.
The way we kind of look at it is, you take a mattress firm.
Yeah.
We're a premium customer, right? Our average sale is about $2,400. That includes everything: foundation, extra pillows, whatever. But you can
Yeah.
buy a bed from us for 1,700.
Yeah.
But our model, as I look at it, we're e-commerce first always.
Yeah.
So because I had Jennifer became a very heavy business, right? You have 219 stores. I used to tell everybody, the whole management of Jennifer, every time the rents would come in, I go, has it been 30 days already? 219 rents, just in 30 days, it goes so fast.
Yeah.
So we always want to keep the retail footprint small as compared to the e-commerce business. And we don't need a lot of stores today. When you have great e-commerce capabilities, you can
Mhm.
drive the consumer to you. And I'm not in a rush to sell you.
For sure.
The funnel was basically last 90 days. So for us, we have people driving 45 minutes, an hour.
Mm.
They'll come in from the suburbs of Massachusetts to go to Newbury Street.
Yep.
And again, there's an efficiency to it. And when
Yeah.
they walk in, the viewing room is beautiful. It smells beautiful. It looks beautiful. They're well kept. Nobody pressures you. There was no pressure to buy. All of our
Mm.
people, nobody's on commission. They're just there to give you information. And
Yeah.
we want to make sure that you're on the right product, because for us to push you doesn't really work, because we have a 365-day home trial. If it's not the right product, you're just going to
Yeah.
send it back. So we want to make sure you're getting the right product. And if
Yeah.
our product is the right one, the last thing we want to do is send something to you and have to take it back.
For sure. Talking on some of that feedback you got from either visitors in store or online, you guys have a ton of data points now. What would you say is the main consumer for Saatva, if you can depict that?
Yeah, well, like I tell everyone, we're on the premium side,
Yeah.
so it's fairly affluent. $80,000 household up.
Yeah.
Probably the more average is probably around 125.
Yep.
And it's really from, basically, I always tell everyone, it's from like 32 to death.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Older folks. We just came out with our RX mattress. These are for people with extreme chronic pain.
Mm.
This is like, if you have basic back pain, our standard classic luxury firm is the best bed we think in the market for you.
Mm.
Contours to the body, great for spinal alignment, great for blood circulation. But if you have chronic, like you were surgery ridden type back pain, we just came
Yeah.
out with the Saatva RX. So, something for everyone.
Yep, for sure. Getting into the product development side, the R&D. So say, like you just mentioned, a new mattress, new problem you want to solve. What does that look like when you guys come to the drawing board? How do you source material for that? What does that look like?
Well,
Testing?
like you were saying before, our data tells us, we'll look at our chats and our emails, and we look at questions that customers are asking us. And my
Yeah.
job as an entrepreneur is to solve every issue in the world, right? That's basically it. So we have, our product team is constantly building out our marketplace for top of bed product, which is, duvets, pillows, sheets. We want to bring all high quality.
Yeah.
I can easily attach a pillow much more than I do if I had a $30 pillow. I won't sell a $30 pillow.
Yep.
Our pillows are the highest quality. I want everyone to feel when they're buying Saatva products and when they go home and sleep on them, like they're in a luxury hotel.
Yep.
So a $30 pill is just not going to do that.
Yep.
So that's the mission that my product team is on. When it comes to, we're kind of finished with our lineup of beds. I have
Yep.
an idea for one or two more things.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see if the data takes me there or not, but right now we're in 7 categories, and I kind of like the categories that we're in. Our philosophy was to curate the best mattress at the best price, being able to deliver it anywhere in the country, in-home white glove delivery. Home white glove delivery, take out the debris, set it up, take out the roll bed. If I could do that more efficiently than everyone in each category, in a spring, ultra premium, memory foam, natural latex, etc., we'll always win. But we've curated what we think is the best bed in the premium class for each one of those categories, and we make shopping very easy, because once you tell me the category you're in, know the price, you don't have to worry about changing price. Just tell us the category, that's the price, and then we're going to tell you how we've curated the best bed for that price. Yep. And by the way, everything we make for the consumer is freshly made. So in other words, when you buy it, the bed is made after you buy it, and I could deliver it anywhere in the country in 7 to 15 days. There are some places that might be a little longer. It's average 7 to 15 days. Like if you're in the top, south or northwest corner of Montana, it might take 18 days or 21 days. But generally, like in cities, we're delivering within 8 days, and we just made the bed for you fresh.
Wow.
And that is remarkable. I think we have 19 factories now that build for Saatva all over the United States. We're only built in the United States.
Incredible.
And we have 150 in-home white glove delivery companies that we've trained to come in, deliver our product, like I said, take out the debris, set it up for you, and take out your old bed, all included in the price. But setting up the network of 19 factories, that was all my experience with Jennifer and dealing with delivering furniture all over the country for 30 years in my 20s and my 30s. And we've created just an incredible operation. And now we're starting to we're talking before, it's starting to do the brand marketing with the viewing rooms. Now allows us to go on television. It now allows us to do podcasts. It now allows us to do TikTok and YouTube videos, more of them. We just put up our first billboard outside the Midtown Tunnel, heading into New York City. So everyone coming in from the Hamptons and Fire Island, can't wait for them to see our billboard as they come through, and if they live in Murray Hill or downtown Manhattan. So we're really having a good time now, and we're outpacing our industry by about 10%.
Wow.
And it's time for us to step on the gas. It's like I tell the team, no matter how big we get, it just seems like every year we're just getting started.
Yep. I love it. You guys have had exponential growth throughout the years. And what I've been hearing is really Saatva, outside of a product brand, you guys are really creating this experience. It's unheard of. White glove delivery, fresh made beds, location points that can be shipped at regionals, so it can be reached to the consumer quickly. How important is that experience on the Saatva end outside of the product? You guys have really defined it well.
It's everything. It's brand behavior, Cameron. I mean, I'll tell every young entrepreneur, if you don't behave well as a brand, and that means every touch point. That means I don't care if you call you call us at 3 a.m. I want a nice kid answering the phone. Answering your questions, not pressuring you, just answering your questions, being helpful. All of our content, I just wrote an article on LinkedIn about this. My CMO came to me years ago to invest in content. I was like, what are you kidding? Well, how fast the return? The return it cost a fortune, and the return takes forever. I said, really? Anyway, he talked me into it, tortured him for 2 years. It's the greatest thing we ever did. We have our Enlightened blog is amazing. Sleep is an activity. Everyone should take sleep more seriously. A great sleep is not coming home and really tired and falling asleep with your computer on your chest. You got to make sure the temperature's right, wash up, get your electronics off, be on the right sheets, be in the right blanket, the room temperature, prepare yourself. We write a ton of articles on sleep being tied to health and wellness. And not just Saatva, by the way, other people in the space do a really good work also. We have about 850 articles that we've written. It's cost us millions of dollars. And it's been the best investment I've made, because it basically dictates how we act as a brand, how we look as a brand. And every single person that works for our company, I don't care if you're on our content team, digital product team, one of our engineers, our creative team in Los Angeles,
Yep.
or you're a customer service rep in Charlotte, North Carolina, everyone behaves the same way. And that is it. We're kind to each other. We're kind to our customers. We're not, we have basically no turnover in our company, other than,
Mm,
obviously the few that we need to force for low performance. But
yeah.
other than that, we have really none of that. We are, I'm not an egomaniac. You play hard, you come to work, you study. We're going to try to make you successful.
Love it.
And we are all aligned. And one of the reasons we're all aligned is we don't sell wholesale.
Yep.
We don't wholesale our product out like a lot of brands, whether it's one of the other bed in a box companies that are online. I
Yep.
always like to make sure everyone knows we're not a bed in a box, right?
Yeah.
Because when you say online in mattress, they tend to think it's bed in a box. We're the
It's
only
important.
ones at scale selling real luxury mattresses that are whole and stable.
Yeah.
And we just happen to sell them online. But again, the idea of brand behavior to a young entrepreneur, they have to have a mission. It's real.
Mm,
It's not just talk when you sit down with yourself or your group. It is like, have a purpose,
mm,
know what you're going to do, and live by that. And one of my things was, like I said, I was reading a lot about Tony Hsieh.
yeah.
Customer service was going to be my thing. We were going to turn this upside down. That's why the company's called Saatva. It's Sanskrit for truth and purity.
I love it.
And I was telling my designer at the time that that was kind of what I wanted to do. People couldn't comparison shop because X amount of a small amount of manufacturers were selling to multiple retailers in one region. So
Yeah.
they changed the stitching on a bed, although it was the same bed, but this way they could charge a different price or whatever they want.
Yeah.
Phony sales. And I said, I'm not doing any of that. I'm going
Mm,
to, here's my specs. We're going to give you all the information. We're just going to be totally open and transparent. So I've lived by that. I'm good to all my employees. We have a great relationship. We have town halls. We have ERGs.
mm,
We have groups for whoever you are in the world. There's a group in Saatva that so it's great for our employees. And because we control every touch point. In other words, when you wholesale your bed, right? That means I let if I wanted to be on Mattress Firm's floor or Macy's floor or Bloomingdale, I don't want to do it.
yeah.
First, they kill margins.
Yep.
I can't control my own pricing. I don't control my own brand.
Yep.
If there's a dirt on my bed, no one's cleaning it for me.
Exactly.
I just don't trust anyone else with my brand.
Yep.
So if you buy a Saatva product, you're buying it from someone who was trained by Saatva, cares about Saatva. So we do our own manufacturing, throughout
Mm,
the country, through 19 factories, and we're the largest account of all of those factories. So we have, it's kind of like Uber. We get to control an asset that we don't have to own.
for sure.
But I do all the buying of our organic, our cover that has organic cotton that's antimicrobial in it.
Hmm.
All of our natural thistle I buy the springs, and then the factories take them in and build for us all over, and they're guaranteed orders that because all our factories have to do is ship on time,
Yep.
communicate well with my team, and that's it. If you're selling to regular retailers, right, that factory has to go every month and beg for floor space.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that with me. As long
Yep.
as you're building, you stay within the warranty ratios, the exchange ratios, the return ratios.
Mm,
I'll love you forever.
incredible.
Just continue to work with us that way, and we have quality control. We send someone around to the factories twice a year. Um,
Mm,
it just all comes together, but it's all about a behavior,
yeah.
uh, and we love it.
Incredible. There's so much emphasis around integrity behind the brand, which I love. And I like to conclude each episode with this. If you can share one piece of advice with an aspiring entrepreneur, maybe something you've learned or regret along the way, what would you say that would be?
Well, two things. I'm just going to write down because I don't want to forget one. Okay,
Yeah.
so so let me just put this here. Okay, so the one thing I don't have a regret here. This is one thing that I did well. So it's my
Yeah.
piece of advice to every young entrepreneur: try to hold on to as much equity as you can for as long as you can. Don't lose control of your company,
Mm,
particularly companies that have extensive capex. They're always very anxious to get money to grow, and then they wind up giving up a lot of control, or possibly giving up control, or giving up a lot of equity. So
yep.
I bootstrapped for a long time. I mean, I was basically in a pretty fortunate position,
Yeah.
but I launched Saatva for less than $1 million.
Wow.
And my partners and I still to this day, 13 years later, we've had 3 major liquidity events, and we still maintain control of the company.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's a model for what I think everyone should try to do. It's very hard. We didn't have a lot of CapEx early on.
Yeah.
So in fairness, if companies are, have huge build outs and stuff like that, it's a little different. So that's
Yeah.
one piece. The other one is you have to invest in a data team early.
Mm.
Like if people think they're just going to set up, hey, I'm going to this one's going to do this, and she's going to do that, and this one's going to do this. If you don't have a data team today, you will fail fast and hard.
Mm.
You will not believe how fast. If I could change one thing,
Yeah.
I would be probably a couple of million ahead, a couple of 100 million ahead right now. I
Yeah.
started investing heavily in data about 6 years ago.
Okay.
I should have been doing it 9 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just you can today. I tell everyone today is the easiest time to start a business because you can throw up a website, put it on Amazon, whatever. It's the hardest time to scale a business.
Yeah.
And the only way you can scale your business today is with data, because every major company that's got anything going for it has a great data team.
Yeah. That's incredible advice. Thank you so much. And yeah, Ron, thank you so much for taking the time. Incredible story, incredible career. And to our listeners out there, make sure to check out Saatva at saatva.com.